Russ was excellent. This was one of Russ's best playoff games in years from an efficiency standpoint. Harden was Harden, 30-plus points, near 30-point triple-double. They didn't shoot a ton of threes, but they made them at a clip 40%. As of 3 days ago, they were undefeated in games when they shoot 40% from three. So why did the Rockets lose? Well, because you lose a lot when you go up against the greatest player ever. And Wilds laughed at me for a tweet yesterday. But, we'll get to Rondo. Wilds laughed at me for a tweet yesterday, but when you look at these numbers and just know they're just going to continue to grow, they're continue to be more gaudy, you do understand that this whole who's the greatest player ever discussion, in 30 years, our grandkids are going to not believe us that it was a debate. And, you know, they might still be wearing Michael Jordan's shoes, but people still play the John Madden video game, and they don't even know he was a coach. So, like, these numbers, the reason I'm showing it is last night he moved into first on the all-time wins mark. Later this playoffs, he'll move into second on the all-time playoff assists. He'll move into the top 10 on the all-time playoff blocks. They're just going to continue to grow. And Brandon, what he did last night with 29 first-half points, most points in a playoff half he's had since the biggest game of his career, Game 6 in Boston in 2012. And then in the second half, leading a stifling defensive effort that held the Rockets to 38 second-half points. That is what you do when you are still, in year 17, the best player in the world, and it's not particularly close. So, yes, I know you guys are going to talk about Rondo, but for Russ to play the way he did, Houston to shoot the way they shot, Harden to do his thing, and the Lakers to still run away with it at the end, it's because they have LeBron James and you don't.
Yeah, I'll let Wilds crush you with the Rondo take. But LeBron was brilliant. I mean, this last night was a great display of his greatness. He could have went for 70 if he wanted to. A lot of people think that he had a bad second half, and I disagree. I thought he did exactly what he needed to do. He came out fast. He came out hot. He got everybody going, and then he started getting his guys involved. LeBron was brilliant. Now, we look at Russell Westbrook, and we look at the stat line, the box scores, and some would say he had an amazing game, and I disagree. I think he had a really good game. You said it was his best playoff game in years. But I look at moments in games, defining moments, and there were some times where we in football call them drive killers. You know, when you got that momentum, and then the offensive line, they jump off sides, or they got this holding penalty called on them. Wide receiver drops the ball. Quarterback throws a pick, and it's like, oh, we were just about to get in the fringe. We were just about to get in the red zone. We were just about to score. And that's, to me, what Westbrook presented last night in those moments in the third quarter. There were so many times where the Rockets could have separated. And Rondo, he didn't take bad shots, but he just didn't make a few big shots. And to me, that was critical. Russ. But at the end of the day, I can't crush Russ. Because it comes down to Eric Gordon, and it also comes down to P.J. Tucker, who did a phenomenal job on the defensive side, but they were nowhere to be found on offense. Collectively, they scored 13 points, and like you said, they were already at a disadvantage because they had a couple guys not playing. So to me, there's so many storylines here. I still love this series, but Russ got to get in the flow in those critical moments. And then also P.J. Tucker and Eric Gordon, they have to step up and do their job. I don't know why the Rockets aren't more intentional in getting this guy the ball in the corner for the three. He's been the best only for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Look,
true.
The Rockets need to shoot more threes. LeBron had an amazing game. But we all know this was about playoff Rondo. And people in New England have been early on three things historically. These are the big three things. The first was the American Revolution. The second was Dunkin' Donuts. And the third was playoff Rondo. And he's been that way since he first got here. If we look at his legendary status, it's him and Magic Johnson, Nick. 3,500 minutes, 1,300 points, 845 assists through the first 6 years of your career. So that's what he was forged in steel with a legendary player like Magic Johnson. Then we just look up. He gives you more points. He gets you an extra rebound, gives you an extra assist. And then, Nick, you'll love this one. I'll tie it back to your buddy. 1,000 starts, 1,000 assists. The guys are on the floor at the same time. One makes the other one better. So, look, He literally was built for this, Nick. I would like you to take back all your
Literally
slander.
built for this.
I'm going to ask Lori to go onto our YouTube page and our Instagram and delete all of the Rondo slander you've had. It's going to be a long week for her. We're going to pay her overtime for that. But are you ready to admit that you believe in playoff Rondo?
Go ahead, Nick.
I am ready to admit what I text you in confidence last night, but you revealed to the audience 4 minutes into the show. It might be a thing. I can't fully buy into it yet, but what I can no longer do is crush the guy. Listen, if you have watched every Laker game, as I have over the last 2 years, he's been the worst guy. Talon Horton-Tucker was better in his minutes this year than Rondo was. But somehow, the first game back playing in the bubble, he wasn't good, but I'll give him a pass because he was rusty. He had the hand injury, then the back injury. These last 2 games, he's been exceptional. You're right, with as good as LeBron was, they don't win last night without him. And so you look back, he wasn't great throughout a bunch of regular seasons in a row, and then that playoff series against the Blazers with the Pelicans, he was awesome. He wasn't great the year with the Bulls, and then he had an amazing playoff game, but he got hurt in it, and I think it was game 2 of that series. And obviously that time with the Celtics. So Jenna, maybe coming into the league in year 2, he's winning a championship. Year 4, he's back in the finals. Years 5 and 6, he's in playoff battles with LeBron. Maybe it just messed with his very unique basketball mind to where he's only excited or interested come playoff time. I don't know what it is, but I must admit, the folks who've been bellowing at me, playoff Rondo, Jenna, right now, they do appear to be correct. And by the way, it's thrilling. I've never wanted to be wrong about something more than this if it helps LeBron get his 4th ring. But it's just hard to believe given how he's played the last couple of years. But they might be right, Jenna.
I was going to say this was Nick's 8-minute way of saying I'm wrong, but it was his 9-minute way, actually, of saying perhaps I was wrong. I was going to sit on that for a second, but I guess we'll move on. Big news out of OKC last night. First, the team parted ways with head coach Billy Donovan. Then news breaking that Chris Paul could be on the move this offseason. Mark Stein tweeted, there are rival teams that believe Milwaukee will explore trading for Chris Paul, complicated as that would be financially, if Oklahoma City indeed makes CP3 available via trade. One more thing to track as the Bucks enter perhaps the most crucial offseason in team history. Nick, I'll send it back to you. Would CP3 be a good fit with, say, Giannis and the Bucks?
Oh, he'd be a great fit. A great fit. Now, I don't know how, and by the way, OKC is going to move on from Chris Paul, I believe. When they don't bring back Billy Donovan, it signals they're entering a rebuild. Now, what the Bucks have going for them is, I don't think the Thunder want a bunch of draft picks because they have so many draft picks from the trade of Russ and the trade of Paul George. I don't know how Milwaukee creates the best package, but Wilds, he would be the perfect guy to pair with Giannis and a guy who I think could potentially put the Bucks over the top next year.
I agree. And if you love NBA basketball, you got to love Chris Paul. And he's a guy that needs a ring. I don't think he belongs in the Stockton, Malone, James Harden world of great players who don't get rings. He needs this on his resume. And I do want him to come to New York. I think Leon Rose wants him to New York. But if you really love Chris Paul and you really want him to get a ring, he should go to Milwaukee, Jenna.
Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of distractions out there. There's the big city you just talked about it, Wilds. There's also the 76ers. Don't be distracted. Wilds was right. Go get your ring in the fastest...